Great, let's go. So what I'll do, we'll go through some loosening exercises first. And then as it's the last one of the term, if there's anything you'd like to go over tonight, if there's any move of the form or if there's any question to do with anything at all, just after we've done the warm-ups, I'll ask you. So have a think about it while we do the warm-ups. If there is anything, let me know and we'll get going. Hi, Kath. Hi, Robert. We're just about to start, so I've already put you on mute and we're recording, so let us commence. We'll start with the heels together. The column of the body, place it upright, lifting the sternum, lifting the back of the neck and the crown of the head. And you can let that column just come forwards and backwards so you feel the weight in the ball of the foot, in the heel of the foot. Just come to a place where you bring that crown of the head right over the feet so the weight is equidistant between the ball and the heel. And then let the knees open so the weight goes more to the outside edge of the foot. Tongue's on the roof of the mouth. Shoulders are released, so the weight of the arms gently tugging in the shoulders. Middle finger on the crease of the trousers. Softening the brow. Softening around the eyes, softening the jaw, softening the throat. As I go through these parts of the body, see if you can make some physical release in these areas. The chest, middle of the back, diaphragm, and the abdomen, hip joints, groin and buttocks, the lower back, the thighs, calves, the ankles, and the whole foot flattening on the ground. A wave of release down through the body until the body's connected and calm and settled. In this position, drop onto the feet, another wave of letting go that presses you into the ground, and you can rebound back up. As we soften the body and let go, soften under the feet, let the knees bend, take the body down, let the body settle as if you're melting into sand. When you get to the bottom, let the body drop as if you're dropping onto a beach ball. It stretches and fills. Another wave of softening, and that spring that you've just loaded pushes you back up. Rebound. Sink. Compress by releasing. Release to rebound. 3 different types of releasing. First release is like sinking into sand. The second release is you keep the same shape. You don't aim to go down, you just let go more, and the whole weight of the body presses you into the feet, and you feel the feet increase in pressure. The third release allows that pressure in the legs to come down. You mustn't try and push the body back up at that point. You mustn't start to use contracting muscles to lift the body. We want the compression that's inside the legs to be released enough to rebound, borrowing the force from the ground. Just keep going up and down a few times. First one is melting. until the body is connected. Then compressing, and then rebound. 1, sink, connect. 2, compress. 3, release and rebound. These 3 stages we do in the center position in the form. We come into a sunk, connected, released condition. Then we compress. This is when we drop the back knee. We compress the back leg. Compress the front leg slightly. To rebound, we move the connection to the front foot to let the back leg rebound. So in the center, we connect. We take unnecessary tension away. We soften the body and we let the body connect. Really important stage of dissolving tension in alignment. It's as if I'm settling into sand. So there are definitely changes in the body, and you'll definitely feel the body drop, and you'll definitely feel the body soften. And you let the weight of the body come into the legs. Don't hold the body away from the ground. Let the weight of the body press you into the legs. It's most important to soften the hip joints, so the upper body can connect to the lower body through the hip joints, the lower back and the hip joints. Stage 1, sink. Stage 2, fall away from the crown of the head. Let the center of the body drop more to compress the legs. Let the back knee drop as if your back leg is falling away from your hip joint. So the muscles have to change their quality to let the back leg drop. And the back knee drops to the ground and you feel more pressure in the back leg. Sink to the front leg to let that rebound. 3rd phase. Don't push the back leg into the ground. Don't tighten the muscles to push you forward. Don't move too much forward. What we're doing in the 3rd part is to sink to the front leg. And you don't need movement over the front leg to sink to the front leg. You just need to soften your front hip joint, let your lower back open, and let your connection drift to the front foot to let the compression in the back leg expand. When we come into the center, there's no slack in the body. There's no looseness in the body in terms of posture. So if you think of one of those, big ball, that when you blow a ball, blow a bubble with a liquid, and you get lots of little bubbles, then sometimes they have a great big bubble, and it's kind of, I wouldn't say that bubble is round, it's kind of got an amorphous sort of shape as it moves through the air. It still floats, but it's kind of loose. We don't want our body to be like that. We don't want looseness to be floppy. We want the body to be sunk and connected. Lightly pressed into itself and connected. There's looseness, but it's looseness over the whole body. So we're much more circular than a body that's kind of floppy and loose. We don't want to be like a rag doll. We want to be connected. That's the first thing, to find the structure of the body so the weight of the body passes through into the ground, connected. So when we do the loosening exercises, This is what we're looking for when we move onto the leg. We settle and we connect. First thing, first stage, number one, moving onto the leg, softening the body, letting it be in alignment and pressed onto the ground, as if I'm sinking in sand. If there's any tension in the ankle, if I feel myself holding up, if I feel myself out of alignment, the next two phases are going to be really difficult to do. So I have to ensure that when I practice, I'm moving in a way that is aligned, that is released, soft, not floppy, but lightly connected and pressed onto the ground. Everything inside the body's fluid. It's not hard, it's not held, and it's definitely not out of alignment. So I'm moving into alignment, this posture, moving into alignment. The hips are level. Hips and the shoulders are facing the same direction. It's not overly twisted. The arms are dropped. Shoulders dropped. As if I'm sinking into the sand. First stage. If I feel tension in my ankle, then try and soften, open the lower back, and change the muscles before the weight comes into the leg. I'll say that again because that's important. Change the muscles as or during the time the weight is coming in. Don't move and then try and relax. As you're moving onto the leg, in transition. For the beginners, we'd say move across, find your alignment, relax. Two-stage process. For the intermediate, in transition, we release. The second stage, compress. Compress. In order to compress, there must be the ability to drop a tiny little bit, like onto the skin of a trampoline. So this movement puts us on the skin of the trampoline. The compression starts to release, to stretch the trampoline. And so sinking, there must still be a little bit of room to go down. Don't get to your lowest position and can't go down anymore. There's a little bit more room to go down. And the second one is a letting go. The whole body presses in. The whole body presses in and gets compressed into the same position you're in. The third one, that compression needs to be released. The center starts to turn and the spring in the leg pushes you back up to the center, back to the same height. Sink and lower, compress and spring back. Sink and lower, compress and spring back. As you spring back, bring the awareness up through the body right out to the fingertips. Sink, compress, rebound. 3 stages. Sink, compress, rebound. Sink, compress, rebound. 3 distinct phases that we're looking for. Make sure number 1 is accurate. Accurate means you're aligned, you're not holding on, you're sunk, and you're settled. Number 2, try not to change your posture. just let go. It's much more of an inside feeling, much more muscle change feeling. It's like a fist that's releasing. It's not that you're trying to make anything happen. When you let go some more, the whole body's going to press into itself and onto the ground, compress. But if the body's holding you up, if the muscles are holding you up, that won't happen. So the muscles need to melt some more, compress, turn the hips, and let that uncompression push you right up to the starting point, release. Compress, rebound. You should work on these 3 stages, focusing on ensuring the accuracy of each stage. Loosening exercise number 2.
Look, could I ask a quick question, please?
Yeah, of course.
Hopefully I can, I know what the idea is in my head. Hopefully I can put it into words.
Yeah.
Traditionally, I still tend to think, because I've always been told to not bob up and down in the form, to be very, very even. But thinking about it, and it hasn't really occurred to me before, but if I focus on the way I move in loosening exercise number 1, by definition, when you're on the midpoint, you raise slightly.
Yes.
So presumably in the form, when I'm desperately trying to keep level, I should really be more relaxed and allowing the release to happen, and then compress and then rebound. And when I rebound, I will rise a little. And if I focus on staying level, I'm constricting that. So that's wrong.
Right and wrong. Mm-hmm. It's a really good question. I hope everyone heard what Brian was asking. It's a really good question. There are different levels for what you need to train. And for a complete beginner, we don't work with any compression, right? Because a complete beginner is holding themselves so much that to try and even ask for compression, they haven't got alignment, they haven't got loose enough in the body. When they do go loose in the body, they collapse their posture. So to talk about compression is out of the window. So you leave that for a few years. And I'll tell you a little story, because Jim knows my first Tai Chi teacher as well. He taught us to stay level. I was taught to stay level for 13 years. It's way beyond beginner's level. And many Tai Chi teachers will ask you to stay level. It's a training method for beginners to start to understand structure of the body. Once forces start to move between the floor and the hands, that's a vertical direction. And you need to start to shift your practice to be working against the ground, getting the force compressed in the body in order to compress and expand. And that movement is vertical. You will go up and down when you start to train on those aspects. You can't, but what you don't want to do is push yourself up. So the up movement that comes is definitely from, I've got my ball here. You press the ball in, and when you take that force on the top hand away, the ball comes up. Your body is a closed system, and the muscles act in exactly the same way that the ball works. The ball's simplified, but it's the same thing. So if your body is like a big kind of like, when you blow a bubble, one of those big bubbles that you blow and the whole thing's kind of loose and fluid and isn't really circular, that's too loose. Okay, that's too floppy and too kind of like loose. Being too hard a ball is rigid, and you don't want to be like it's somewhere between the two, and it's a thing you have to feel and sense and learn from doing it, rather than you have a model, you have an idea of what you're aiming for, and then you feel what the body does. So what can you say? When you arrive in the first loosening exercise, and you turn to the corner and you sink into the mud, yeah, you're going down slightly. You are going down slightly because the knee's bending and because the hips are softening and because the lower back is falling away from the crown of the head slightly and you're pressing lightly onto the ground. There's definitely going down. When you compress, the body's hardly moving, but you're going down. The feeling inside the body is probably going down even more than the first part. The feeling is of going down more, but the actual movement is less because my mind is focusing much more internally. So my mind has moved from feeling the externals of the body and organizing the body to dropping inside the body and starting to feel the internal sensations of melting, of compression, of sinking, of letting go. That stage is what we do with that stage is important because there's a tendency to hold on there and there's a tendency to push ourselves back up. So getting stage 1 and stage 2 is fairly straightforward for intermediate level, but stage 3 is complicated because there's a real strong tendency to use muscular contraction to get the rebound. So good question, Brian. And it's there in the whole of the form. So when I drop in, number 1, connect. Number 2, compress. Number 3, wave through the body. The wave through the body coincides with the back leg expansion. The back leg expands, the upper body sinks, and the wave comes through to the hands. Doesn't happen at the same time. It's definitely a wave in the lower body, the upper body, the hands. It combines with me sinking onto the front foot. If you look at me do it, I sink in and organize the alignment as if I'm sinking into the mud or the sand, fall in, compress lightly, compressed. Then a strong compression of dropping the back knee, back legs expanding as I sink onto the front foot. Shoulders drop, wave comes through to the hands as the back leg expands. This is what we're looking for. We're not looking to push the hands out. We're looking for the expansion of the back leg to push the center of the chest out, and the shoulders that are dropping also get compressed. Because there's inertia in the weight of the arms, the center of the body is moving forwards. There's compression and expansion in the arms as well, which is difficult to understand because they're not in contact with the ground. But the inertia and the weight of the arms drops. Body, small movement forward. This compresses and expands. Got to get the leg working first, then it can come into the upper body. There's no point working in the upper body until the legs are doing the right thing. So you work on number 1 first, connect, sink, align, compress. Number 2, compress. Number 3, you have to transfer the connection because if you stay where you are, you lock the compression on the back leg. The body weight sinking locks the compression. So the body connection needs to move to the front foot, and that allows the back leg to expand. So we say, when you compress slightly more to the back foot, 55 in the back leg, and then you change the connection 55 in the front leg. I'm sinking onto the front leg. But with it, I'm not moving over the front leg to find that sinking. I'm not moving onto the front leg to find my body weight on the front leg. I'm staying in the center, I'm opening my lower back, and I'm sending the connection to the front foot, So it feels like I could jump backwards. When I load the back leg, it feels like I could step forwards. When I release the back leg and I'm sinking onto the front leg, it feels like I could step backwards. Let's have a go at that. Let's have a go. Come into the push position with the right foot forwards. Push, right foot forwards. Upright. Number one, sink and connect. You have to let go of your holding. You have to let the weight of the body press into the legs. Just like when we do the standing exercise, sinking into the mud, let the knees bend, let the hip joints soften, let the chest soften, let the whole body settle. Number one, connected, upright, released. Number two, we're going to load the back leg to 55% compared to 45 in the front. We're going to drop the back knee, and the result of that is you'll feel your back foot push onto the ground 55, 45. Without moving forwards, we're going to change the connection to the front foot. That involves a rotation of the tail, of the hips, of the pelvis, a slight softening of the hip joint, front hip joint, slight bending of the front knee. So my compression is now going into the front leg. And with that, as I'm sinking in, the back leg expands, but it doesn't throw me out of alignment. It brings the force up to the center of the chest. The upper body and the lower body are connected, and it brings the force up through the torso. As the force bubbles up through the torso, the shoulders drop, like the shoulders are pushed out of the way. By the rising force of the torso, the shoulders drop, and the wave comes into the hands. That's something to work in stages into your practice. First, connected, stable, and upright. Something the beginners work on, something the intermediates work on, something the advanced work on. You keep refining your understanding of the structure of your body and the release of your body in the first physical posture, release, and align. Let's go through the form to cross hands. Take your time to organize the column of the body up. Feel into the body muscles and release tension. Soften the brow, around the eyes, the jaw, as if you're just melting into the sand. And abdomen, knees, the feet, the ankles, settled. Give yourself time to settle. Find that place where you feel calm and resting on your feet. Compress to the right foot. Move across. Keep the hips level. Keep the body upright. Find a posture where there's no weight in your right foot. Then compress and turn back. Release. Settle again to both feet. Compress, sink, and release. The arms float up in the releasing. Sink. So. Organized posture in the center. The hips, 3 o'clock. Shoulders, 3 o'clock. Head, 3 o'clock. Hands, height of the sternum, underneath. Structure of the body is stable and relaxed. Load the back leg by dropping the back knee to the ground. Feel the immediate increase in pressure in the left foot. Your hips seem to fall towards the front. They fall off the pressure that's in the left leg and sink towards, it's like they're looking for the place of least resistance. So if you compress the left leg, the hips move towards the place of least resistance, which is the right leg, and the back leg expands. The shoulders drop and that wave comes through to the hands. Small wave into the arms. Continue to sink onto the right and turn. Step left, glide in. Remember, external structure, upright, sinking into the mud or sand, the hips square, the front hip soft, body upright, shoulders relaxed, hands dropped, connected. Load the back leg, sink to the front leg, wave to the hands. Structure of the form. Column of the body resting on both legs. Hips soft. The hips is the gateway between the torso and the legs. So soften the hips to sit into the legs, to open the lower back and rotate the hips. Soften the shoulders to drop the elbows, connect the body. Load the back leg. Center to the front leg, body turns to the corner. Turn back, sit back. Roll back. Press, structure of the body, upright, organized, settled, posture. Compress the back leg, sink to the front leg. Open the chest, drop the shoulders, wave to the hands. Sit back. Move in. Structure of the body. Structure of the body means there's no holding up. You're fully letting the body press into the legs. You're softening the hip joints and you're looking for the upright structure just sinking into the sand. Body feels very loose but strong and connected. Nice contradiction of how being loose but being organized presses you into a very strong posture where you feel very loose. Compress the back leg, drop the center to the front, open the chest, wave to the hands. Sit back. Facing 12 o'clock, holding the ball facing 1:30. Facing 12 o'clock, step to 9. Structure of the posture. Structure always before the wave of compression, always before the wave of release. You take the slack out of the body, organize the body, take the strength out of the body, compress, release. Lifting hands. Shoulder stroke. To the corner. Organize the posture. Compress the back leg. Release, turn to the front. White crane, spread hands. structure of the brush left knee, twist step, structure of the posture, column of the body, settling into the legs. Take the tension away. Compress the back leg by dropping the back knee. Center rolls towards the place of least resistance, which is the front leg. Sinking onto the front leg, wave comes through to the hand. Can you see how every posture, we're looking for the same things? We're looking for the structure of the body. We're looking for the principle of take tension away from the body. We're looking for the principle of being very loose and fluid in the body and organized in alignment and in accuracy. Glide in to the structured, released position. 1. Drop the back knee, compress the back leg. 2. Sink to the front leg, release the compression in the back leg. Arm goes out. 3. Sit back. Positioned enough room into the structure of the punch. We haven't punched yet. We've just brought ourselves into the position where we settle, where we release, where we sink and can take the slack out of the body, take the tension out of the body, drop the back knee, compress, sink to the front foot, release and punch. Turn, sinking onto the front foot. Sit back. Move in. Sinking. Hip joints really important to seat the hip joints, to settle the upper body. Compress the back leg, release to the front and push. Sit back. Just across hands. Hands turn over. Back to that place of standing quietly, calmly, release tension, lightly pressed onto the ground. So it's really, really useful to go through the form very, very slowly, because when you go slowly, you really notice what you're doing. When you almost stop in the center of a posture, you get a chance to feel, are my hips seated? Are my shoulders, have they changed? Am I still holding on? Is there something else that can shift and change? And the slower you can do the form, the more awareness you'll have of what you're doing in it. Until it comes natural, that when you go into a posture, that's what you do. It's like you train, it is training. It is training yourself to recognize the sensations in the body. So that when you move into the center, that's exactly the principle. You're looking for the principles in the posture. You're looking for the upright quality. You're looking for the release. You're looking for the sensations of melting. You're looking for the sensations of giving up holding. Any of those postures you'd like to look at in more detail? Or any of the principles in there you'd like to kind of qualify?
I've got a slightly tangential question again.
Okay, yeah, sure.
How much, Luke, of the releasing and the loading would you experience if you do standing?
Well, if you think about the second loosening exercise,
Mm-hmm.
the second loosening exercise, because you're moving all the time, up and down, compressing, and you'll feel more. But standing, standing's good for some things, it's not good for others. Right? Standing is really good for number one, what I was just talking about, number one, structure, letting go of tension in the body and settling the body into a calm place and developing an awareness to understand number one. It doesn't really do very much for number 2 and 3, which is the compression, the rebound. But that said, you can't do the compression and the rebound unless the first part of it is really released and really settled anyway, because you need to take the slack out of the body. The slack is the softness and the looseness, and you need to take the tension out of the body, which is holding you off the ground. And the standing is actually quite good for teaching you how to do those things. So you'll end up being nice and solid. You'll end up being nice and connected. That's the first part of the game. Right? There's a lot more to go from just being stable and solid.
I understand. Yeah. So you're not trying to feel any kind of it's not that obviously you release and you feel that sinking into the ground, and that's great in standing, but you're not trying to feel any rebound. You're trying to feel that softness, that structure. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So you take that forward a bit. What we're trying to find is a synchronization in the body, right? So all these things, number 1, 2, and 3 that I've talked about tonight, all overlap. And as you sink into a posture, so you can start to load into the compression, right? Because the dropping into the center is the beginning of the compression in the back leg, because the whole melting of the body takes place as one. And as you drop in, you also load. And as you also load, you're moving forward. And as you're moving forward, you find the rebound. All those things should overlap. But it's much better to break it down into stages. But we're moving towards a place in the future where the whole body is synchronized. Standing exercises won't teach you the synchronization of the body. They will give you a very good structure, a very solid structure, and a very loose structure if you keep softening within it, if you keep releasing within it. It will give you good attunement to what your muscles are doing, to what they're holding on, and it will give you a really good tactile sense of yourself for standing. Standing's good, but it's not the end game. And I've done a load of push hands with people who only know how to be strong in a standing posture, and then they'll use that strength rather than the compression strength to issue. So they'll find a very good structure, they'll find a very good base, and they'll find a place where they're kind of like nice and solid, and then they'll push you with that structure. So it's very mechanical. And what we're looking for is real fluidity within that structure, right? That comes from working on the inside, and it comes from the rotation of the hips and the rotation of the upper body. This is really the wave that comes through the body. As the force passes through the body, it rotates the hips and it rotates the chest. The ball of the chest rotates. So you can think of these two things: the ball of the hips floating in water, the ball of the chest floating in water. As a wave goes through the body, a wave of force passes through, the hips have to change and the chest has to change. If those two things are locked and there's no change, then the force has to be hard instead of soft elastic force, which is what we're looking for. So that's kind of a very short answer to your another really good question. Yeah. So yeah, is a standing posture is good? Yes, to a degree, but don't do too much of them, because you can find the standing postures in every posture of the form. You can find what you're looking for in the standing posture in every posture of the form. Sunk, stable, releasing tension, upright, settled, calm. All those things you can find in each posture. Just trying to think what, when I worked with Patrick, we didn't do any standing postures with Patrick. I think Wikijin does some standing postures. Patrick always used to say that Master Huang said to him, it's better to be a pile driver, to go deeper and deeper, move up, go down, move up, go down, move up, go down, and keep going down for, down into your root further, rather than standing still, have that kind of like continued lift, sink to a deeper level. I don't mean a lower level, sink to a deeper level, sink to a deeper level, sink to a deeper level. So we didn't used to do standing postures. Okay. I'm just looking at my computer, which is telling me I've got a low battery, so I've just put the charger on, and I've only got 4%, so I hope I'm not gonna, if I do cut out in the next couple of minutes, I'll go through onto my phone, so stay where you are. Okay. And I'll be back with you. Technology. So question to you then is, like, we've got a few weeks break between now and we'll start up again 5th of January. And then it's like, what are you going to practice over the Christmas period? Because we've kind of covered quite a lot of ground and different things over the past term. And I've just got any questions about practice or what to focus on during the next 3 weeks. If there's anything at all, now's a good time, because we've only got 10 minutes left of the class. Okay, can I see your moves from single whip, lifting hands, shoulder stroke, white crane spreads wings, first brush left knee, twist step. So from single whip. Take your time, just go at your own pace. When you get to the end, just reset back to single whip again. Just to the first brush left knee twist step. Okay, good. There's a term we use which is called flourishing, and it's unnecessary arm movement. Unnecessary arm movement comes from moving the hands when they're not connected to the rest of the body. So moving the arms independently is going to give us a flourishing movement. And we should always try to make sure any turn, say I go from white crane spreads wings, if you have a look, all the weights on the right foot, one span to the brown, thumb on the thigh, distance here, distance here. The waist turns. When the waist turns, the shoulders are going to turn. When the waist turns and the shoulders turn, what's going to happen to the elbow? It's going to move as well. But it doesn't come from doing anything with the hand. It comes from what I do with the base. So when the base turns, shoulders turn and the hand turns. In that turning, there's a slight sinking and spiraling. Sinking and spiraling. Sinking down and spiraling. Sinking down means the shoulders relax. So you've got two things happening. You've got a horizontal movement, which is a turning of the waist, a turning of the shoulder, a turning of the elbow, a coming forward of the hand. That movement stops when the waist stops turning. It doesn't move independently of the waist doesn't move and then the hand. It's caused by the turning of the center. And the way it works is that the connection of the body is on the center of the body. So when the hips are seated, when the shoulders are seated, and the body's connected, which is what the posture is about. The first part of the posture is sink and connect the body, keep it as loose as possible, but connected. Then when you turn the waist, the hand turns. And at the same time as turning, you're sinking down slightly, spiraling down. With it, there's a dropping of the shoulder. The hand drops slightly. Turn the waist back. The shoulder moves as the waist turns and draws the hand to the hip joint. And then the lifting is exactly the same as the beginning of the form. Shoulder drops and the elbow lifts. The shoulder drops and the elbow lifts. That finishes at the same time as the waist finishes turning. Turn one way and chop. Turn back. Halfway through the turn, the hand drops. Fully through the turn, the hand lifts. As my waist finishes turning, so the hand reaches the top. When I turn back, the hand folds in. Step, move into the center. There's a sinking as I move in, the shoulders sinking with it, the hands dropping in to the structured position. Find that position. Load the back leg, sink to the front, wave to the hand. Let's just do that one move. White crane spreads wings. No weight in the ball of the left foot. If you swing the foot through, it just misses the right heel. Turn and chop. Make sure you're sinking and spiraling and staying connected to your right leg. This movement of the torso, sink the hips, sink the shoulders, turn the hand over, chop with the little finger edge of the hand. It's as if your hand is going round someone's neck, chopping. turn back. Halfway through the turn, you drop the hand to the hip joint. Fully through the turn, you lift the arm. Same way we lift the hands at the beginning of the form, to the height of the shoulder. As you turn back, you fold. Step, move in. As you're moving in, you're squaring and settling into the structured posture that's fully released, stable, upright. Then you're loading the back leg, and then you're sinking onto the front and releasing. If there's any questions with that, please ask. If not, I'll have a look at you just do that one posture. Just keep repeating. Once you get to the end of brush left knee, go back to white crane spread wings. Remember that every single hand movement comes from a change of the shoulders. If you understand how the shoulders change, you'll understand the hand movement. Just white crane spreads wings back to brush left knee twister. Once you've chopped, the first turning of the waist, the first half of the turning drops your hand, the second turning lifts the hand. The waist finishes turning when the hand is up level with the shoulder. Turn back and the hand folds. Move in, find that central stable posture. Sink and load the back leg. Release onto the front leg and wave comes through to the hand. Good. Remember the lifting of the arm, the lifting of the right arm is exactly the same as the beginning of the form. It comes out in a wave. The shoulder drops, the elbow lifts. Remember there's that pivot point on the arm where the shoulder drops and the elbow, as the shoulder's sinking, the elbow lifts. The lifting of the elbow is what lifts the wrist. So don't lift the hand up independently. Even though there are muscles inside the arm that can move independent, we want it to be connected to the shoulder. So try and find out what the shoulder's doing, and you'll get the correct movement coming, and the timing and the synchronization coming through to the hand. Good. Is everybody happy with that move?
You said there, Luke, that you bring the hips square as you come forward. So my hips are kind of roughly square when I drop the hand. They're at their maximum angle when I raise the right hand before starting the brush knee push step.
Show me the move, Brian, because it's easier to see you do it. Do it if you do it facing me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, right. So I'm sinking and chopping.
Yeah.
I'm coming square to about that point, slightly off.
Yeah, keep turning open.
Well, maximum turn is there.
Yeah,
And then when I chop there, when I bring my hand in, sorry,
yeah,
you were saying that you come more square.
yeah. So yeah, you're coming into the center square. So when
Yeah.
you when you fold your when you fold here, I'm kind of facing the corner.
Yeah.
Take a step, I'm facing the corner. As
Yeah.
I'm moving in, I'm squaring.
Okay, so I'm squaring too early. Okay.
So you finish your squaring exactly when you arrive in the center. Everything kind of like is kind of precise with Tai Chi. That's why I say there's no flourishing. As you come in, you soften the front hip and come in. Yeah. Yeah. So the transition brings you into the place you want to be at. The changes you make in the transitions are really important. You don't just move into the center, you fluidly transition into the right condition. Great. Yeah, good. Have a look at this part of the move. First turn, the turn goes from straight all the way to slightly beyond the corner, say, from straight here, slightly beyond the corner. So the first part of the turn, I'm dropping the hand, palm up onto the hip joint. The first part of the turn, I'm dropping this hand, palm up onto the hip joint. The next part of the turn of the waist, I'm sinking and spiraling into the foot. I'm dropping the shoulder and I'm letting the elbow float up. That movement of sinking is exactly the same as the beginning of the form. I'm sinking the shoulder and the elbow floats up. So I'm turning. Half of the turn is to drop the right hand palm up into the hip joint. And the second half, I'm sinking the torso, I'm softening the chest, I'm dropping the shoulder, and I'm letting the elbow float up as I continue to turn. When I'm in this position, I feel very stable and upright over the back foot. Another sink, and I turn back. Step. The step, the fold, and the left hand coming across all together. These two are like windscreen wipers connected to the waist. Sinking, step, glide in, ball of the foot touches, sink, square, load up, compress to the front foot, wave through to the hands. Okay. If you can find the timing of that move in one move, you'll find it in every move. If you can find that timing of moving into the center, getting your body into that condition, compressing the back leg, releasing to the front, wave through the body, you'll find it in every move. So now when you go over the form, that one move will be highlighted in what you do. And you'll be able then to bring it into the other moves as well. Good. On that note, I'm going to wish you a happy holiday. Have a really good break from whatever you're doing. Keep very well in these times, and I will send you this video, and I'll send you another video in a few days' time of just a little practice or a reminder of a few things that I think about as I go through the holidays. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Luke. Have a good Christmas. We'll see you in the new year.
Yeah, nice one, Toby. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Luke. Happy Christmas. All the best, guys.
Everyone, happy Christmas. Go well. Go well and go safe.
Cheers.
Take care.
Thank you. Happy Christmas. Bye, everybody.
Happy winter solstice. Happy days becoming longer.
Good. Thank you, Kath.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Kat.
Bye. Bye, Christine.